What's up guys, this is Merk Music and I have some ideas for the next Call of Duty game. Now, whether that's Black Ops 3 or it's some completely new game that the devs want to work on, I think I have some interesting ideas floating around in my head and I just wanted to share them with you guys. I don't want them to go unnoticed, I want to be heard and I think you guys do as well. So, at any time during this video, feel free to leave a comment letting me know what you would like to see in the next Call of Duty game, or maybe you want to add on to something I might have said, but anyway, let's get into this. The first thing we need to look at is the map size to player number ratio. This is the key factor in deciding whether or not a game is fast-paced, slow-paced, or somewhere in the middle where it's fairly balanced. In the old and gold days of Call of Duty, the maps used to be fairly sized, usually were about 1 or 2 levels high, and generally had tight spaces and corridors that made for very fast-paced and engaging gunfights. Now, we don't necessarily need maps half the size of my closet, however, we don't want this in Call of Duty. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? My solution for all of this madness would be to make 3 small maps that support 6v6 or 9v9, 5 medium-sized maps that support 12v12 or 16v16, and maybe throw in a couple of large maps, but they have to support either 24v24 or like Battlefield do 32v32. Even though most people will agree that large maps can get slow and boring, they can actually be a lot of fun if the ratio is right. I'm also going to touch on aesthetics for a bit, because when you guys made maps that were colorful and vibrant like this, they were memorable and we loved to play on them. Now, I'm not sure if this is a result of dogs overthrowing the executives at Infinity Ward and Treyarch, but last I checked, I can see more than just gray and brown. And unless you want the Shades perk from World at War to return, please do not blind me whenever I step outside. The next 2 important things we need to talk about are weapon variety and weapon customization. Now, if this game is going to be another modern military first-person shooter, then I'll keep it plain and simple. We need the modern guns that we would typically expect from the game, but it would also be really awesome to see some old classics return and maybe possibly see some futuristic concept weapons. That would be incredible. In terms of weapon customization, if you compare Call of Duty Ghosts and Battlefield 4, there's no doubt that Battlefield 4 has way more customization options, but there's a customization option that neither of the games have that we've been asking for years. We've also been throwing a butter knife for years, and we've been waiting for it to be replaced by something way more awesome. My recommendations for weapon variety and weapon customization would be to give us more weapons than we know what to do with, make them challenging, make them interesting and unique to their own role, and in terms of customization, give us more options than Subway. Lastly, I would like to wrap up the video talking about the perk system and how it's changed over the years. Perks were first introduced into Call of Duty's multiplayer with Call of Duty 4, and ever since then the perk system has stayed. However, it's been altered drastically and changed in many different ways, but I would argue that the perk system has gone way off the deep end ever since Black Ops 1, and here's why. In Call of Duty 4, World at War, and Modern Warfare 2, in the second tier of the perks, also known as the red perks, there was a really tough decision that players had to make when setting up their classes. It was the choice between stopping power and UAV jammer. Your typical Call of Duty player back in the day would take stronger bullet damage over stealth 100 times over. This allowed for faster gameplay in terms of flow, and it meant that whenever you called in a UAV, it was actually meaningful. You'd be able to see almost the entire team instead of just seeing nothing but ghosts. Every Call of Duty after Modern Warfare 2 has contained perks that are excessive and not necessary, and the perks change the core fundamental of the gameplay mechanics way too much. They're overcomplicating things. I know I might sound a little bit hypocritical saying that we need to restrict customization, but I'm not talking about the difference between a Chinese red dot sight and a Cobra red dot sight. We're talking about added in-game bonuses to your character's abilities that aren't even really necessary in the first place. There are plenty of other games out there that are fine without a perk system. My solution to the perk system? Well, I know what stopping power needs.
You need a little revive!
Alright, so I think I got to cover my 3 main points. However, there are a couple of smaller, minor things I do want to talk about, so let's get into them. Runnable servers, more support for the hardcore community, private match modding options to reduce public hackers, crazy new game modes that make my stomach tingle whenever I think about playing them, the option to change my field of view on any platform, Battlefield's damage profiles for snipers but make them feel like Call of Duty 4 snipers, reduce SMG damage at long ranges, make LMG users run as slow as they would in real life, sitrep shouldn't overpower dead silence, online sniper lobbies so ray gunners don't have to complain about them, bring back theater mode, and allow us to build, play, and share maps like Halo, Gary's Mod, and Minecraft, and ultimately, if you want Call of Duty to succeed, it needs to look fucking amazing. And when you buy it and play it, it needs to be fucking amazing. I probably wouldn't have played Call of Duty. I wouldn't have this YouTube channel if one of my friends in 8th grade didn't recommend that I buy a certain Call of Duty game because it was fucking amazing. And guess which Call of Duty game that was?